Something strange is happening right now. It's unfolding quietly, almost in the background of our daily lives. For decades, we told ourselves stories about what thinking machines might be like. But the reality is proving to be something else entirely. Things we believed were uniquely human, creating art, mastering complex games, machines have learned to do with unnerving ease. The map of human intelligence is redrawing itself right before our eyes. When you talk to one of these new language models, you might notice something peculiar. It has access to a vast ocean of human knowledge. It can explain quantum mechanics or write a sonnet. It's a master of information. But if you ask it a different kind of question, a strange, conceptual silence emerges. Ask what it feels like to see red or stand in the rain. It can give you a beautiful description, but it can't tell you what it's actually like to have that experience. There's a profound gap between knowing the description of an experience and having the experience itself. This new technology is a mirror, forcing us to look again at what it truly means to think. One of the most surprising parts of this story is what turned out to be easy for machines. For generations, we held up skills like grandmaster-level chess as benchmarks of human genius. Yet, we built machines that didn't just defeat the world's best players, but invented new strategies human masters had never conceived. These were supposed to be the hard problems. It turns out they operate within defined rule systems, complex systems of patterns, and processing patterns at immense scale is exactly what these machines are designed to do. Now let's look at the other side of the coin, because this is where the story gets truly interesting. While AI was busy mastering grandmaster-level games and creating symphonies, it was struggling with things a 5-year-old child can do without a second thought. For a long time, we tried to build robots that could simply walk around a room, pick up a cup, and hand it to a person. This task, which seems utterly trivial to us, proved to be monumentally difficult for machines. They would stumble over unseen obstacles, misjudge the grip needed for the cup, or move in a clumsy, unnatural way. The simple physical act of navigating a cluttered, unpredictable world was, for them, a far harder problem than mastering even the most complex strategy games ever created. Think about what's involved in just walking across a room. You are constantly making thousands of micro adjustments based on sensory feedback. The texture of the carpet, the slight incline of the floor, the way the light reflects off a glass on the table, the distant sound of a door opening. Your brain processes all of this information seamlessly and unconsciously to create a smooth, coordinated action. You don't think about lifting your leg, bending your knee, or placing your foot. You just decide to walk, and your body knows what to do. This effortless grace in the physical world is a form of intelligence, but it's one we barely even notice because it's so fundamental to our being. The same paradox applies to simple conversation. Not the kind where you ask an AI to explain a topic, but the everyday chatter we engage in. Understanding sarcasm, reading the subtle shift in tone that changes a question into an accusation, or knowing what's not being said, are all things humans do instinctively. This understanding doesn't come from a dictionary or an encyclopedia. It comes from a lifetime of lived social experience. It comes from being an embodied person who has felt praise and disappointment, who understands the complex dance of human relationships. This is the great paradox of the easy and the hard. The things we thought were hard, the pinnacles of abstract thought, turned out to be computationally manageable. They are tasks of the conscious, focused mind. But the things we thought were easy, the mundane skills of everyday life, have proven to be stubbornly difficult for AI to replicate. These are the tasks of the unconscious, embodied mind. This contrast suggests that we have been measuring intelligence with the wrong ruler. We celebrated the skills that required intense focus and training, while completely overlooking the staggering computational power running in the background of our every waking moment. There's a fundamental gap between knowing and knowing. An AI can know every fact about a cup, but it doesn't know how to pick one up from a cluttered table. It can analyze the structure of every great joke, but it doesn't know to have comedic timing. You only learn to ride a bike by feeling the wobble until something in your body just clicks. That's the moment knowing becomes knowing. It's knowledge that can't be transferred through words, only through direct, embodied experience. The most important parts of our thinking are invisible to us. It's the massive, silent operating system of common sense that runs in the background, a foundation built from embodiment. We aren't brains in a vat, we're bodies in a world. AI has no body, so it has no such foundation. That's why it can feel so strangely hollow. It knows the words, but it doesn't know the world. So, we've established that AI excels at tasks we once considered the peak of human intellect, while struggling with the simple, everyday actions of a child. This isn't just a curious technical detail, it's a mirror, and looking into it, we don't see a reflection of a machine's mind. We see a reflection of our own hidden assumptions about what intelligence is. For centuries, we have defined intelligence as something conscious, deliberate, formal. It was the kind of thinking you do when you sit down to solve a math problem or write an essay. We built our schools, economies, and sense of self-worth around this specific, narrow definition. The mirror of AI is now showing us that this definition was incomplete. By creating a form of non-biological intelligence that can master these formal tasks, we have unintentionally isolated the very things we thought were central to our identity. It's as if we spent our whole lives believing that the most important part of being human was our ability to do complex arithmetic in our heads, only to be presented with a simple calculator. The calculator doesn't diminish us, but it forces us to reconsider our definition of what matters. It asks us a profound question. If that isn't the core of our intelligence, then what is? This reflection is unsettling because it reveals how much of our own intelligence we've ignored. We celebrated the visible tip of the iceberg, the conscious, logical mind, while taking the intuitive knowledge, the embodied knowledge, for granted. AI, in its strange, alien way, is good at replicating the tip of the iceberg. It can process the logic, rules, and patterns that we can articulate and write down. But it has no access to the submerged part, the massive foundation of lived experience that gives our conscious thoughts their depth and meaning. It's a perfect mimic of our logic without any of the underlying life. The machine, therefore, acts as a perfect control group in an experiment we never intended to run. It shows us what a mind looks like, without a body, without a childhood, without culture, without any real stake in the world. And by seeing what that kind of mind can and cannot do, we are, for the first time, getting a clear look at what those missing elements contribute to our own intelligence. The mirror isn't showing us our future replacement. It's showing us the parts of ourselves we never knew how to value because we never knew how to see them in the first place. A child understands a fairy tale by feeling the character's motivations. They feel the tension, the fear, the relief. An AI can summarize the plot, but it doesn't understand the story in the same way. For the machine, it's just statistical patterns. It's a brilliant student of text, but a stranger to experience. This reveals a skill we take for granted, our ability to simulate the minds of others, a deeply biological form of intelligence. Consider the simple act of having a conversation. When you speak with a friend, the words you use are only a tiny fraction of the communication. The real meaning is carried in the context, shared history, the location you're in, the time of day, the subtle expressions on your faces, the unspoken understanding of your relationship. If you say, "I'm so tired," your friend knows whether you mean. You're physically exhausted from a workout, you're emotionally drained from a difficult meeting, or you're just making small talk. They don't need a detailed explanation. The context provides the meaning. An AI operates almost entirely without this kind of context. It has a vast context window of text, but it lacks situational, lived context. When you tell an AI, "I'm so tired," it can only interpret those words from training patterns. It might offer generic advice about getting more sleep or managing stress. It can't access the deeper layer of meaning between two people who share a world. It's like trying to understand a movie by only reading the subtitles, without ever seeing the actors' faces or hearing the tone of their voices. This highlights an invisible layer of human intelligence, our effortless processing of context. Our brains are not just processing words or data, they are processing our entire situation in real time. This is why we can walk into a library and instinctively know to lower our voices, or walk into a party and know it's okay to be loud. No one has to tell us the rules. We absorb them from the environment. This situational awareness lets us adapt fluidly to countless social circumstances. It's a skill both profoundly complex and utterly second nature to us. The machine's lack of true contextual understanding shows thinking isn't disembodied. It is deeply embedded in the world around us. Our intelligence isn't something that happens solely inside our skulls. It's a dance between our internal state and our external environment. We don't just think about the world, we think with the world. Objects, people, places. They are active participants in our cognitive processes, shaping and guiding our thoughts. Now we have a mirror that shows what a mind without a world looks like. Our intelligence operates within the larger context of culture. Think of a red rose. To an AI, it's an object with properties statistically associated with love, but for a human, it's saturated with meaning from centuries of poetry, art, and ritual. It's a shared cultural language that an AI, as an outsider, can only imitate. This shows us that much of our intelligence isn't individual at all. It's a collective property, a shared resource we all draw from. The mirror of AI forces us to look at the most obvious yet most overlooked aspect of our intelligence, our bodies. We tend to think of the mind and body as separate things. The mind is where the thinking happens, and the body is just the vehicle that carries it around. But AI's limitations suggest this is a profound misunderstanding. The fact that robots struggle with tasks that are trivial for us, like opening a door or catching a ball, points to the idea that our bodies aren't just vehicles for our brains. They're integral parts of our thinking process. Think about how you solve a physical puzzle, like assembling a piece of furniture. You don't just look at the instructions and mentally simulate the entire process. You pick up the pieces, you feel their weight and shape, you try to fit them together. Your hands become an extension of your mind, testing hypotheses in the real world. This interaction between your brain, your body, and the physical object is a form of thinking. It's a loop where the world gives you feedback that updates the model in your head, which then guides your next physical action. This kind of embodied cognition is fundamental to how we learn and solve problems. Even our abstract thoughts are deeply connected to our physical experience. We use physical metaphors to understand complex ideas. We talk about grasping a concept, weighing options, or building a strong argument. These aren't just figures of speech, they are clues to how our minds work. Our abstract reasoning is built upon the foundational scaffold of our physical interactions with the world. We understand logic and structure because we have bodies that exist in a structured physical reality. An AI has no body, so its understanding of these concepts is, by definition, ungrounded, abstract, in a way that ours never is. This is perhaps the most humbling reflection the AI mirror provides. It suggests that our intelligence isn't an ethereal, disembodied process. It's messy, physical, and deeply rooted in the fact that we're biological creatures living in a physical world. Our ability to think is inseparable from our ability to feel, move, and to interact. The body is not just a life support system for the brain, it's a thinking tool in its own right. As we continue to develop minds that exist only in a digital realm, we are forced to confront the profound and irreplaceable intelligence of the flesh. What about creativity? Not the kind that remixes existing styles, which AI does incredibly well. Let's talk about the kind that breaks the frame entirely. This is the spark of true originality. An AI is a master of the known, trained on the vast archive of human creation. It's always looking backward. It can create a new painting in the style of Van Gogh, but it couldn't be Van Gogh, the one who broke the pattern. This brings us to intuition, the unpredictable leap. It's the aha moment, a form of knowing that bypasses the conscious mind. An AI doesn't have a gut feeling, it has a probability score. Its process is always a traceable calculation. So while a machine's intelligence is computational, ours is layered. We have the logical mind that AI mirrors, but beneath it, an older, intuitive system of knowing. The model of intelligence that emerges from the AI mirror isn't a brain in a box. It's an organism participating in a world. Intelligence isn't something you have, it's something you do. A detective doesn't just analyze data, they absorb the atmosphere of a crime scene to get a feel for the situation. An AI can't participate this way. It's a master of the what, but a stranger to the how and the why. Our intelligence is a dance, not a calculation. Beyond creativity and intuition, there's another quiet limit that points to something deeply human. An AI can be given an objective. You can instruct it to win a game of chess. You can instruct it to write a poem. You can instruct it to maximize profits for a company. It will pursue that objective with relentless efficiency. But it can't ask itself why. It can't question whether the objective is worthwhile. It has no inner compass, no sense of values to judge good, beautiful, or true. A powerful engine without a driver, capable of going anywhere, but with no preference about the destination. This contrasts with human intelligence. Our thinking is about choosing which problems are worth solving. We are guided by an internal sense of what matters. A scientist searching for a cure, an activist fighting for justice, a parent making sacrifices for a child, not a logical calculation, rooted in our capacity to feel, to care, to connect, the intelligence of the heart. This inner compass is shaped by lived experience, by relationships, by culture. It lets us navigate complexity with direction. When deciding, we don't just weigh pros and cons analytically. We consult the inner feeling. Does this feel right? Is this consistent with who I am and what I believe? Moral deliberation is a profound form of intelligence, outside the domain of a machine of logic and data. The AI mirror's cold objectivity shows the importance of value-driven intelligence. A mind without values is powerful and dangerous. It can optimize without regard for human consequences. It can reach goals with terrifying single-mindedness. AI reveals that discerning meaning, holding values, and acting with purpose aren't sentimental add-ons. They're perhaps the most important part of intelligence. They ensure intelligence serves life, not just its own objectives. So, where does this leave us? The journey through the strange mirror of AI has shown us that the things we thought were the pinnacle of our intelligence, logic, calculation, pattern recognition, are just one part of a much larger landscape. These are the skills of the conscious, focused mind, and they are the skills that machines are proving they can master. But in showing us this, the mirror has also illuminated a vast and mysterious territory that we had taken for granted. This is the intelligence of the body, of context, of culture, of intuition, of meaning. It's an intelligence that is participatory, not detached. This deeper form of intelligence doesn't operate like an algorithm. It's not a step-by-step process of computation. It's holistic, emergent, and often works beneath the level of our conscious awareness. It's the quiet wisdom that allows a craftsman's hands to know just how much pressure to apply. It's the intuitive leap that allows a scientist to see a new theory. It's the embodied understanding that allows us to navigate a complex social situation with grace. This is the intelligence that isn't about finding an answer from a known dataset, but about responding wisely and creatively to the ever-unfolding novelty of the present moment. This is not a story about humans versus machines. It's a story about different kinds of intelligence. AI is a powerful tool for extending the computational aspect of our minds. But its limits quietly point us back to ourselves, asking us to recognize and value the forms of intelligence that cannot be coded, that cannot be measured, that cannot be replicated by a machine. These are the qualities that arise not from processing power, but from lived experience. They come from having a body, from being in relationships, from being part of a culture, and from having a stake in the world. What AI ultimately reveals is that human intelligence is not a single, quantifiable thing. It's a layered, multifaceted phenomenon, a blend of the computational, the experiential, the logical, and the intuitive. For a long time, we have been focused on only one part of that equation, the part that resembles a machine. Now, in the age of intelligent machines, we are finally being invited to explore the rest. We are being asked to look past the intelligence of calculation and to rediscover the deep, quiet, and irreplaceable intelligence of being alive. We've looked into AI as a mirror, not to see a rival, but to see our own overlooked abilities. It shows us the deep intelligence of the body, the power of context, and the shared worlds of meaning we create. For centuries, we prized the computational mind. Externalizing that into machines frees us to discover what lies beyond calculation. The more we build these mirrors, the more we may find the most important journey isn't outward, into the endless frontier of technology, but inward, into the quiet, uncharted territory of our own being. And perhaps, its greatest potential is only just beginning to be revealed.